This is the iPad Air 3, and I love using it, but I just wish it didn't have any buttons. I'm iSkyler, let's get started. So yeah, I do everything on my iPad. Write videos, edit videos, upload videos, tweet questionable opinions about Apple, watch Hamilton, and so much more. And generally, these things are all wonderful to do, especially with all the useful gestures on iPadOS. Like really, they just make everything super easy and it just flows well. Especially, I love the copy and paste gestures, like the pick up and put down thing. It's just brilliant. It's also super nice to swipe up to go home and switch apps and stuff. It works really well. But there are 3 points in this gesture workflow where it feels like it's just interrupted by having to push buttons. The first is the only time I have to use the home button, for Touch ID to unlock my iPad. The second is pushing the power button to turn off the iPad. And the last is using the volume buttons to change the volume. Now, one could argue that I don't have to use the home button to unlock my iPad. I could just put in my passcode. But come on, who really wants to put in the passcode? Now, this home button issue is fixed quite nicely by the new iPad Pros. They don't have any home button and use Face ID to unlock the device, just like every iPhone since the 10. And it works because the gestures allow you to swipe around through everything in the system, and it feels so glorious. And it's great that that's on the iPad Pro, but I would really love it expanded to all of the iPads on the whole lineup. But when you want to turn it off, you still have to reach to the top and push down that button. Or the bottom. Or the side. Well, when there's no home button, you can use the iPad in any orientation, and it's awesome, except when you have to try and find the power button. It could really be on any side of the iPad, which makes it really time consuming to turn it off. And I guess you could just sit and wait for it to automatically turn off, but you could be waiting as long as forever, and that's just not great. So what I want is a gesture to turn off the iPad. I don't really know what it would be, maybe like a drag in from the top left of the screen, like the Apple Pencil screenshot or the Control Center. I think I'll leave it up to Apple's crack gestures team to figure it out though. I also think a sort of attention awareness feature could work well, similar to the iPhone's attention awareness, which makes sure the phone doesn't turn off while you're looking at it. I think it'd be interesting to have a system where the iPad turns off when you're not looking at it. I don't know if I really want this system, but I think it's an interesting idea nonetheless. The idea is if you look away from the screen and you're gone for like 10 seconds, it turns off. But it still waits for you to come back for like a minute, so that if you come back, it immediately grabs your face with Face ID and brings you right back to where you were. It's basically an automatic turn off system. And now, I really don't know if this would work well, it probably wouldn't, but it's just an idea to eliminate a button. Now, the volume buttons face the same problem as the power button. They're always on the right side. Well, except when they're on the left side or the top or the bottom. I mean, yes, you can just pull down the Control Center and change the volume that way, but if you know where the buttons are, it's so much faster to just push them. So if there was a way to always know where the buttons are, it would be fast. Now, iOS 14 has an accessibility feature called Back Tap that allows you to double tap the back of a phone to perform some action of your choice. And it is just that, an accessibility feature. It isn't meant to be a mainstream feature, but it's an interesting concept. Imagine if you could just tap whatever's the right side of the iPad for the volume buttons. You never have to try and remember where the volume button is. You can always just go to the right side and tap lower for down, higher for up. Now, if Apple can't make that work, although really, I mean, they're worth almost $2 trillion at this point. I think they can make it work. But for idea's sake, if they can't make it work, say they use a swipe from the right of the screen. That's simple, and it can bring out the volume interface where you can change the volume. I think that'd be pretty cool. But it is possible that if we just keep adding swipes to all the edges, it could make things feel more clunky or confusing. Or it's also possible that it could be incredibly amazing. I think that this would overall feel like a natural and awesome experience, being able to swipe on the screen to do whatever you need. I also think it would play well with accessories like the Magic Keyboard that has a keyboard and a trackpad. This turns the iPad into a more of a touchscreen monitor, but one that can be totally used on its own, totally independently. So as Apple continues to remove different buttons, and we see leaks that they will remove more buttons and ports, I think we're really headed to a point where we will have an iPad with no buttons, and it'll be the ultimate Apple workflow. In my opinion. I'm iSkyler. Thanks for watching. Bye.